Hi, we're the KThree, and this is our final thoughts on rookie historian GOO HAE RYUNG.
So amazing, this show.
Right?
Yes.
Okay, so we watched me gush over it for all of the weeks. Every week I told you to binge watch it.
Yes.
And you did not finish it by the time it had wrapped up, but you've finished it. So
I have.
What were your overall thoughts?
My overall thoughts are that, you know, how that women who lived 300 years ago, because there's, all right, K-dramas with the modern music
Yes.
and the, you know, these feminist ideals, but maybe women who lived 300 years ago had the same thoughts that we do now, right?
I feel like we've been fighting against the machine for at least that long,
centuries. You know, that
millennia.
that you want to contribute to society, that you have self-worth, that you want to.
You don't want to be treated as just an object that is traded and a commodity.
Yes.
Yes.
So the reminders that are in there for these 4 women who have bucked society and their families to work in the palace was really amazing.
I loved it so much.
So good,
it was
right?
just so, probably one of my favorite K-dramas ever. And it was all of that. Plus you add it where, and I don't want to like minimize it, but she was kind of the male character and he was kind of the female character.
In terms of like leads, yeah.
As far as like how their status almost,
right?
Like he was like the as they mentioned in a couple of episodes, he was the Rapunzel character.
Yes.
He was trapped in his castle, and she came and found him and got him out of there.
Right.
And so I enjoyed kind of that turn on its head of those Moors.
But in the time that we've been watching K-dramas, which is a couple of years, they've changed.
They really have.
Usually this would have been the other way around.
Right?
She would have been locked in the tower.
And he would have been the spunky guy who's going to save her because he's cute and whatever. She's good. And he was cute, adorable. Yeah. Like he was just such a puppy prince. But I appreciate the fact that the construct or like the conceit of him being a romance writer it was adorable. But it was also a window into the fact that he has no life experience except these books.
These wrong, yes. So I didn't fall in love with it at first sight the way you did. It took me a few episodes to really get into it. But when she talked about how she's been disobedient her whole life and then how she played the king, that was like, oh my God, that was so amazing.
Oh, the one where he kept making her show up at like 4 in the morning.
And she was there. And you knew that he couldn't take it after a while. That the lazy king.
Oh, I love
who doesn't rule at all.
One of the time they woke him up and she's like, she's here again. She's still, oh God.
Yes,
like
because you made her do that.
Right?
But then when she played him and was like, this is why historians matter and this is why I honor you. It was like, oh, and so clever.
It was so clever. And I also I just enjoyed the fact that she was that spunky character. And we've seen a lot of spunky girls in our shows, but then something happens and they fall in love and it just all pretty much goes to shit. And you know, they're spunky, but spunky with an asterisk. You know, but I really right? I really enjoyed the fact that even when she had to get married, it was the arranged marriage and it was going to happen. I was like, how are they going to get out of this? Like, because she can't just be spunky and get out of this. And I love the fact that even her betrothed was like, I don't want this and you don't. None of us want this.
Right.
And so I love the fact that they were almost a team for that.
Yes.
And then she escaped out the window. I just loved everything about her as a character so much.
I loved how there were so many great women and so many great female characters because it wasn't just the 4 young women working as female historians. It was also the Queen Mother Dowager. It was also the physician.
Yep.
And it was also her
handmaid. I loved her so much. She was so hilarious.
Oh my gosh.
And she was I loved her. She was just great.
She was the great comic relief.
She really was.
Yeah.
It was, and the thing I probably my favorite thing about all the women in this show, especially the 4 historians, they never turned on each other.
No,
there
that
was
amazing.
There was never this weird catty infighting. There was no they were all there for each other. They recognized that they had made this catastrophic leap for womankind, basically. And instead of trying to one-up each other, they worked as a unit. And when they would get together and like have soju off to the side and talk about why they decided.
So good. So good.
So great.
That the role for women at that time was get married, live, you know, to a wealthy man and live this amazing, isn't that an amazing life?
That amazing life, right?
But for them to say, my family is wealthy, but they're all messed up, and this is why I'm doing this job. You know,
and
it's so good.
Yeah, and it was that, and then I love the fact that like our historian Song, like she basically was like, I wanted to be able to make my own choices, and that for me was what really resonated, was that all the women were like, we chose this because we chose this.
Yes.
Not because someone chose it for us. And that for me was like, oh, it just got me in the gut every time. I loved it so much.
That's why it was so interesting to have that parade of brides near the end of the series.
Right?
It was like this big, huge reminder that this is the role that women were assigned to for centuries. And it was this big reminder that these women were doing something different.
And I thought that they did it so well, because not only was it a reminder of what these 4 women had stepped away from to choose to make their own life, but it also worked as a romantic foil, because our poor girl GOO HAE RYUNG had to be the historian for it all, and she had to watch them select her prince's future wife. Yeah. And then when historian Song got selected, she basically threw the only rift in our foursome, because she got selected, but she had no choice in the matter.
Right.
And all the girls they all understood that, and I appreciate that they all understood that and didn't turn on her. And so I thought it was just as amazing as it was from a historical standpoint. It really worked for the story, because, you know, like a lot of times they'll just throw something in there to like, you know, you're like, wait, what? Yeah. But it was such a multifaceted like beat for it. Oh God, I loved it so much.
So also the person who was there, always standing up for people, was Officer Min.
We did not deserve Officer Min.
Oh my God.
At all. He was the best of us all.
I know.
His episode of this tragic backstory. I'm sorry. I've said this numerous times, but ji-hoon, I just need more of him in my life.
Oh yes,
he was so good.
So good.
He was so good.
So good.
I just loved him. I needed him to find happiness by the end of the show, and he kind of did. Like
with his sister.
His sister got out of a loveless, awful marriage to the prince.
Yeah.
So I was really happy about that. I was happy that all of his historian brethren came to collect him at the end of the 3-year mourning period.
Yes.
He had his own. He had his found family. Yeah. Oh, it was just. Oh, I love this show so much. I also think we cannot talk about this without talking about our eunuch Sambo.
Yes. Yeah.
He obviously, as we learned, kind of really was our crown prince, not our crown prince, but our prince's dad. Oh, like he raised him from an infant all the way into adulthood, and I just thought he was just hilarious and kind and ridiculous and loyal. Yes. And the two palace girls.
Yeah.
That found family was just so much found family. It's found family goodness that is what we always talk about this on Twitter, but found family is like, I think collectively all of our like favorite trope. If that is yours, you need to jump on why am I saying romantic doctor teacher camp? I don't know why. It's not. That's the wrong show.
Rookie historian GOO HAE RYUng.
But it's because it is. It's just so much
her brother.
Yeah. Oh, her brother.
Oh my goodness. The things he sacrificed for her.
So it's just. And I'm so glad he kind of got a little bit of a redemptive arc there at the end. And like he really didn't mean to betray all of his.
Of course not. Of course he didn't.
And I did. It's just there were so many things that were happening in this show that were just so modern, but they put the historical like twist on them that it worked, I thought.
Oh yeah, completely.
Right? And even the ending. Like I read on. Did you find the ending satisfying?
I did completely.
Right?
It was ridiculous.
I was reading on Twitter sometimes, and people felt it was a little bit rushed. But I love the fact that you knew exactly what our prince YiRim was doing. He's like, I don't want to be crown prince. I don't want to be king. Like I'm not trained for it. It's not my gig.
No kidding.
And right? Yeah. And I love that we didn't have to watch all the machinations of how it got to that. Like we just knew that he was going to go do it. And then we did this, like, I think it was like a 3-year time jump, if I remember correctly. It was a chunk of time.
Something like that, yeah.
And he comes back and he's a travel blogger, for lack of a better word. And he's living with his girl, GOO HAE RYUng, who's still a career woman. And I have never been happier at an ending in my life. Oh my God. It was
the rose and
the rose and the thing. If you guys, if you are a Cha
Eun-woo Astro fan,
please, even if you only tune into the last episode, you will be so satisfied. You'll be so happy. You'll be so happy. Because he was just, and that's the other thing. Like, I think we kind of bagged on him for his acting at the beginning because I felt like he was the weakest of the group, but then we understood. We understood why. Because by the time we got to the end, he was pulling out like Gangnam Beauty kind of like strength.
Yes.
It was an amazing journey to watch that. Just him building that character from this isolated, unworldly, cloistered person all the way to being this person who's living his fullest life with the woman he loves. And I loved it so much.
Stood up to his mother, stood up to the king.
Oh, it was seriously one of my all-time favorite K-dramas for sure.
When we live here in Los Angeles, and when we went to see the film Parasite, they had interpreters for the director Bong Joon-ho and the actors. And Bong Joon-ho's interpreter would write what he was saying in Korean. And I remember thinking, here's our modern day rookie historian.
Right?
Clearly not a rookie because I did not understand. And this kind of helped me understand, well, they were writing in Chinese characters, which are unbelievably difficult.
Yeah.
So like, how do you literally take down history?
Right.
And so to see this young woman doing it with Bong Joon-ho and then relaying his thoughts in such a concise, elaborate way, and I don't know how she did it.
It was amazing. I will even to take it a step further, the future of historians, the guy, the second interpreter that was sitting at the other end was doing it on his phone.
Yes,
like he was typing and doing this,
and then they'd read, and we're like, "What? That just happened?"
Right. It was amazing. So there are historians among us.
Yes,
still. So thank you to all the interpreters and translators out there because you guys are doing some work. It was amazing. But so here's my question for you.
Yeah.
Is this something that you find there's a rewatch? What's your rewatchability level for this one?
Definitely. Because I love a historical.
Right.
But because of all the modern intersections, it's infinitely watchable. And I think also understanding Cha Eun-woo's character
better now, right? Yeah. Like you're not as jarred by it, I think, if I was to go back and watch it.
And honestly, to have a solid landing, it's always such a relief. So to go back and know that it's going to end well.
And know that you're like working your way back towards that, right? Because how many have we been like, oh God, that was the ending? Oh no.
Bye-bye.
Oh God. I'll never rewatch that again because I'm not giving that 16 hours of my life. But this, I will totally give 16 hours. Here's one question though that we have not been able to answer. And if you can help us, that'd be great. And the only reason I'm throwing this out is because I think we answered it by a Sumpy report.
Oh yeah.
I think the PD was a woman. Because there was a rumor that our crown prince, Park Ji-young, was dating her.
4 years.
For 4 years. But everything I've looked at says that it's a man who directed it.
And that was the photo at the end of the show. But I think, is it Asian Wiki or My Drama List has 2 directors listed.
So maybe it was second of them. But still, I mean, I do feel like there was definitely a woman's touch to this somewhere.
Somewhere.
Right?
And definitely the writer.
Definitely the writer. Yeah. But I mean, I think most of them are there. But I feel like from a director standpoint, it kind of had that Crown Clown feeling of the way the gaze was, the details of that type of stuff. So if you guys know the answer to that, I would love to hear any follow-up on that.
Yeah.
Oh, any final thoughts, Marisa?
It was fantastic, and you should watch it.
What I've been saying for months?
Yes, you have.
Months and months. Just do it. Yeah. Okay, great. Well, those are our final thoughts on Rookie Historian until Jen rewatches it for like the 3rd time. And I'm sure I'll pop up with something then. Until next time, we're the KThree. I'm Jen.
I'm Marisa.
And Karen's over there.
Yeah.
If you want to check out our liking, loving, and dropping on all the shows we're currently watching, check them out right here. And we will see you next time. Bye.